Hey everyone. If you're a .NET dev, you know logging is absolutely critical. But you probably also know that sinking feeling when you realize some sensitive data, some PII, has accidentally ended up in your logs.
Yeah, we've all seen something like this, right? You're scrolling through a Splunk dashboard and boom, there it is, a password in plain text. It's a huge problem for security, it's a nightmare for compliance, and frankly, it's just a massive headache.
So today, we're going to walk through CerbiStream. It's a library that acts as a safety layer, a guard that sits right in front of your existing logger, whether that's Serilog, Nlog, whatever, to make sure this kind of leak never happens again.
All right, let's get our hands dirty. We're going to do a guided tour of the official implementation demo on GitHub. We'll look at the solution, dive into the code, and see exactly how you can get this thing wired up in your own projects.
So first things first, let's be super clear. CerbiStream is not a replacement for your favorite logger. Think of it more like a bouncer, a governance layer that sits right at the front door, inspecting every single log event and making sure it's safe before it ever leaves your application process.
Okay, so let's get our bearings. We're diving into the official CerbiStream implementation demo. It's a pretty standard ASP.NET Web API project, which is perfect because it gives us a real-world example of how to plug this in. The structure is probably pretty familiar. You've got your controllers, your test project, the usual suspects, but for our walkthrough, we're going to focus on two key files. First is program.cs, the entry point where we'll do all the configuration, and second, and this is the real star of the show, this file called Cerbi-governance.json. That's where all our safety rules live.
So this JSON file is basically the brain of the whole operation. It's just a simple declarative file where you define your policies. You can list fields like SSN or credit card number that you always want redacted. You can even set different severities, like marking a password field as absolutely forbidden. It's incredibly straightforward.
Now, a local JSON file like this is perfect for a single service, but imagine you have dozens of microservices. Trying to keep all those policy files in sync becomes a huge headache. And honestly, this is exactly where the full Cerbi Suite platform comes in. With the CerbiShield dashboard, you'd manage all this from a central UI instead of juggling individual files.
Okay, enough about files. Let's jump into the code. We're going to open up program.cs and see just how easy it is to wire this all up.
Getting started is really just a three-step process. You install the NuGet package, you add that Cerbi_governance.json file to your project, and pro tip, make sure you set its properties to copy to output directory, and then you just add a few lines of configuration in program.cs. That's pretty much it.
All right, so here in the code, it all kicks off with this one extension method, builder logging add CerbiStream. And what's really nice is this clean, fluent API where you can just chain on the features you need. Let's break down what the demo's doing here.
So first, you see .with file fallback. This is an awesome resilience feature. If your main logging sync goes down, CerbiStream will just start writing logs to a local file so you don't lose anything. You can even chain .with S encryption right after it to keep those files secure. Next, .with governance profile tells the logger where to find our JSON rules. And finally, .with telemetry enrichment is a lifesaver. It automatically adds context like the app name to every log, which makes querying way easier later on.
So we've set it all up, but what does the output actually look like? This is where you see the real power of having this governance layer running.
And here it is, the payoff. On the left, you've got a raw log with a social security number just sitting there. But on the right, that's what actually gets sent to your logging backend. CerbiStream has automatically redacted the SSN based on our policy. And just as important, it adds this governance violations array, giving you a crystal clear audit trail of what was removed and why.
I love this quote from the documentation. It really nails it. It's a safety system that just works silently in the background. You set it up once, and it protects you from accidental data leaks without you even having to think about it.
Now, you might be thinking, what if I need to see that sensitive data for some critical debugging? They've thought of that. There's a relaxed mode. For a single log call, you can pass a flag to bypass the rules. But, and this is the key part, the event is still tagged as relaxed, so you have a very clear audit trail for any time the safety rules were intentionally sidestepped.
So that's the core of what the open source library can do for you right now. It gives you this powerful runtime PII protection with really minimal setup. Let's just quickly recap the key takeaways.
From this demo, it's clear how easy it is to get automatic runtime redaction, add that resilience with the encrypted file fallback, and handle those one-off exceptions with relaxed mode. It even gives you a foundation for shifting left,
with an optional analyzer that can flag PII leaks right in your IDE while you're coding. This open source tool is incredibly powerful on its own, but it really hints at the bigger picture. Imagine managing all those JSON policies, viewing violation reports, and controlling deployments across all of your services from one central dashboard. Well, that's the vision for CerbiShield, turning this awesome library into a full enterprise governance platform.